Family, welcome back to 180 Truth.
We must share some moment of truth giving.
Family, there's some truth today that I want to share, but I need to preface it because I think I've seen something incredibly evil. But I want to provide an apologetic.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
My name is Dr. Honorio Chaparro. I'm your brother minister, and I just want to say, number one, there's certain words I'm going to try not to say because they show up, they get heard by the folks who run the tube of Youb, and the reality of it is that, well, I'm concerned about like this message right here being buried. So there's a word that starts with A and it rhymes with contortion. A word that starts with A and it rhymes with proportion. It is something that has been in the news big time this year when the Supreme Court made a very, very significant overturning of, well, a case that made that word that starts with A and rhymes with proportion, well, it left it up to the states. And there's been a lot of backlash. I think that it's affected a lot of Republicans, conservatives running for office more than they want to admit. Because, well, it's ingrained in us that this is a right to choose. But what about us as Christians? What about us as Christians? Well, first and foremost, I want to say that at least 1 in 4 women before the age of 45 will or may experience that medical procedure for various reasons. So there is a sense in which that as Christians, while I believe if you are a Christian, then my challenge to you is, do you really believe that life starts in conception? In conception is where I believe life starts. So there has to be a reason where and why that kind of a medical procedure would be used in order for that life to be ended. What I want to talk to you about is something that is very disturbing, very evil, but it's nothing new. But let me just continue. That number one, again, 1 in 4 women, that means that you as a woman, you might be watching this and you may have experienced, well, that medical procedure that rhymes with proportion, starts with A. I'm not here to condemn you. I'm not here to do that or put you down. I will say that I've done many things in my life that I regret, that I have repented of. And I know that we live in a society that, well, everyone doubles down. Well, we said we believed in this a week ago, even though the evidence now shows that we're wrong, well, we kind of have to still believe in it. And most of us, well, we're convinced that it is a right, a woman's right to choose over their bodies. I will share this, that I believe that the medical procedure that starts with A and rhymes with contortion, well, that medical procedure, when used for the deletion of life without a proper medical reason, if it's used simply as a form of control, of, in other words, like a birth control, when it's used that way, there's something wrong. And I think that that is a reality that as a Christians can admit, right? Even if you believe that people, well, can have a right to that medical procedure, even if you are upset and you protest what the Supreme Court decided, even if you believe that your body, your right, can you, if you are a Christian, at least if you're a Christian and you believe that life begins at conception, then deleting the life for the sake of birth control is wrong. We can also agree that I think that a lot of those women, those 1 in 4 women who before the age of 45 will experience that medical procedure, well, I think they need prayer, compassion, empathy. We need to hear their stories. We need to be a place where the reality of it is this. I can condemn and my former use of recreational activities to self-medicate. I can condemn that, right? But I need to be careful about condemning the activity without causing or implying that I'm still living with some kind of shame or guilt. I've laid that at the foot of the cross. And I want to be careful about how I impose shame and guilt on others. But that being said, I saw something incredibly evil taking place in what is to be considered a woman's magazine. So this incredibly evil thing here done by the Cosmopolitan, where they're doing a feature, and the feature is on, well, how does a satanic, rhymes with contortion, starts with A, ceremony even work. Patients of all faiths are welcome at Samuel Alito's mom's satanic clinic in New Mexico, along with medical counsel. The Satanic Temple, because that's what it is, the TST, Satanic Temple, offers free ceremonial support to everyone. The ceremonies are totally optional and customizable. Here's a simple one that they recommend. Wow. Now, here in the description, what's it like to have a satanic? Rhymes with contortion, starts with A. For Jessica, a 37-year-old mother of 3 who received the medication via Samuel Alito's mom's satanic clinic, the experience was just very supportive. While she's not a Satanist, Jessica's decided to incorporate a few ceremonial elements into her solo A experience. Why not, she thought. The overall messaging just clicked with her. Read more about it at the link in bio. Now you can go ahead and look it up if you want. I think Cosmopolitan has a circulation of 55 million women. That's amazing. Ladies, what do you think about this? What do you say to this? My concern ultimately is that we are at a place now where, again, why is this being supported? Well, simple, because this is a protest against the Supreme Court's decision. And the fact that there are many states that are shutting down the option for the medical procedure entirely. So in a lot of ways, this is getting support from Cosmopolitan because they are standing in the gap, so to speak, as an alternative to all of the pro-life groups. They are there supporting this ritually with religion, giving it existential justification. And so my question is, number one, why is the existential justification needed if you don't believe that life begins at conception? When do you believe that life begins? When do you believe that it's justifiable for that choice to be an option? Because one of the challenges is that this issue is so politicized that there are forces at work. There are forces that want to give the option to delete that, what I'm saying is a child, from conception all the way up to right before the mother gives birth. Why? Well, maybe this is why. Maybe it has always been satanic. Maybe it's always been this dark and evil. You know, the Word of God warns us against practices that involved deletions of our young. You shall not worship the Lord your God in that way. The Word of God says here in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 12 verse 31, for every abominable thing that the Lord hates, they, the other nations that were surrounding Israel at the time, they have done for their gods, for they even burn their sons and their daughters in the fire to their gods. That's a terrible thought, that there were cultures, and there still are cultures, that would justify that kind of action. A little one could be sacrificed in that way. The Word of God says elsewhere in Jeremiah chapter 32 verse 35, where God's people became so corrupted that they justified so many of these practices that were horrible in nature. It says they built the high places Baal in the valley of the son of Hinnom to offer up their sons and daughters to Molech, though I did not command them, nor did it enter into my mind that they should do this abomination to cause Judah to sin. And so when we think about the fact that you have this religion, and a religion doesn't need to have a god, a deity per se, but there are always gods, there are always things that people are worshiping and pursuing, and they're reaching up toward the transcendent, and they're trying to get it to be meaningful. To do this, to ritualize it, what are they offering? Well, they're offering a false comfort. They're offering a false justification. They're offering some form of comfort for grief, all those things. But ultimately, they're legitimizing so that the person can walk away without feeling guilt, without feeling ashamed. Although in their hearts, if they're going to a religious clinic, then don't they? Don't they feel shame? Don't they feel guilt? This kind of religious expression isn't necessary if you don't really believe that what is in the womb at conception is a living person. It's only necessary if what you're saying is that you believe it's a living soul. Family, we live in dark times where evil is being called good. I am suggesting to you that all of life is spiritual, and things like this are exposing what's really behind it. There is a spirit that wants to do violence to the image of God, a spirit that wants to devour blood. All idols demand blood. There is a spirit that feeds off of human sacrifice and always has. And those spirits are still with us now, and we see them, and even though they're dressed up, they look different and they sound different, they're still the same, and they are costing human lives. But the good news is this, that no matter who you are, no matter what you've done, no matter what you need, Jesus knows, Jesus understands, Jesus still delivers. While the old gods and these kinds of gods of the satanic temple, they want your blood sacrifice, there is the living God who gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life. And Christ laid down his life as a ransom to win us back, bring us back home, and to restore in us the image of God, that we might be like God, that we might be one with God, that we might live life with God, for God, that we might actually be our authentic and true selves, that we might be born again. So family, what do you think about this? I know I've spoken a lot in code, and I hope I haven't frustrated you. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, share a comment. Go ahead and make sure you hit that notification bell, because I don't post often. Thank you so much for being here at 180 Truth.
Now you know the truth.
God bless.